From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, we're going to get you ready for a busy weekend on the Diamond as Super Regional Softball starts up. What would a win over Alabama in football do to expectations? And we're generating discussion sparked by Cummins. Wake Up Warchant is presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. The world's first and only clinically proven energy shot. That's right. The Focus Plus, the extra strength varieties, the Hydration Plus, all this clinically proven to do exactly what it says on the bottle. And that is to improve your focus, improve your hydration, also improve your fat burning capacity. 89% of participants over the 14-day clinical trial reported that, yes, they were effective at boosting energy, these shots. 64% said the shots were a great mood booster. 78% said that, yeah, I agree. The shot reduced and was effective at reducing my brain fog. It's one shot. It's not even 2 ounces. And it tastes great. And it's going to also give you energy on top of all the vitamins and nutrients. It's Vitamin Energy, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Sip the juice. Need to have your worlds collide, Corey, and have like Mio and Vitamin Energy collide and make some sort of like energy vitamin water flavorer.
Yeah. Screw Mio, right, though, Aslan? They're not a part of this show. Screw them. We got Vitamin Energy, and we're proud of it.
Hell yeah, brother. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Come on down, everybody. A reminder, if you're a student, email support@warchant.com from your fsu.edu email, and you can get a free membership for an entire year just because you're a student, and we want to get you started young on the warchant.com lifestyle. So go ahead and do that. Also, don't have 100% clarity, but the boss of bosses, the king of kings, Shannon Terry, CEO of On3, reports that starting July 1st, your On3 membership will also give you full access to Rivals.com. So the value keeps increasing over at Warchant.com and On3, and we're not going to raise your rates. Can you believe that? I feel like a politician up on the stump, Corey, like, read my lips, more value, less payments.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. And, I don't know if you're not signed up, I don't know what you're waiting on. You're going to want to be on the ground floor when this thing takes off. The elevator up to the penthouse, you're going to want to be on the ground floor. Obviously, last year was the ground floor. We've been to the penthouse, but, yeah, we've been on floor 3 and floor 5 and floor 7. But every now and again, we'll get to the penthouse. This thing might be riding right back up there, and you're going to want to be in on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not a student and you don't feel like spending any money right now. I just can't believe that we don't have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, Corey. I mean, all the Florida State fans out there. I know not everybody knows about Warchant.com, but if you're like a Florida State fan and they're all over the internet, like, why aren't you subscribe to our YouTube channel?
Anybody listening to this is a huge Florida State fan, and there's got to be a dozen people in your life that are huge Florida State fans. You probably assume they know about this show, or you listen to this. They listen to this show. Mark and Michelle from Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. You've met them. Michelle's one of Stephanie's best friends now.
Yeah.
Huge Florida State fans. They travel to 2 or 3 games a year, all the way from Connecticut. He's been an FSU fan since the '90s. He was on a vacation trip 2 years ago. I think it was just 2 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago. And a guy said, "Oh, you're a Nole. Do you listen to Wake Up Warchant?" And Mark was like, "What is that?" He was a huge Florida State fan, and he wasn't dialed in enough to know about Wake Up Warchant. The point being, don't just assume your friends and your fellow fans know about Warchant and know about this podcast. Let them know.
Yeah.
Proselytize.
Yeah.
Tell them what's what. Tell them they need it in their lives.
Yeah. When you're at dinner parties, what kind of podcasts do you listen to? Have you ever heard of Seminole Headlines with the Jeff Cameron Show? You're a Florida State fan. Wake Up Warchant.
Serial. Nobody. Adnan did it. And that was 11 years ago.
Spoiler.
We got other stuff to listen to now.
Spoiler. We are going to do the mailbag here shortly, but so golf fell short to Stanford, sounds like, yesterday, Corey?
No, the jury's still out.
Really?
Yeah, no, they lost. No, they lost. It was funny that you said like it was like a rumor floating around that the Florida State women's golf team lost to Stanford. Yeah, they lost. I think the final ended up being 3-0. But the first two matches, Stanford won easily. And then, like, Mirabelle was tied on extra holes. Lottie Woad actually lost the last match on extra holes, like the 20th hole or the 21st hole. And then I can't remember who the other Florida State player was that was out there, too. So they were tied in 3 matches. I think they led all 3, actually, not by a lot, like one up, like on the 14th or the 13th or something. So they still had a chance, even losing early on. But Mirabelle Ting and Lottie Woad didn't actually secure their wins. Lottie Woad actually lost. So it ended up being 3-0-2. Like 3-0-2. Like Florida State didn't lose those other 2 matches, but they didn't win them either. And you only had to win 3. So once Lottie lost, that was it. But look, man, it's not like they got blown out. I know they got shut out technically, but Stanford had to work. Like they had 3 women playing into extra holes. Now they happen to be doing against 2 of the best amateur players in the world. But I'll say this again, like I said yesterday's show, when you took advantage. When you have the 2 best amateur players in the world by your metrics, and you win the ACC Championship, which Stanford is in, by the way, for the first time ever, which is a great accomplishment. It's not a national championship. It's a great accomplishment. Finishing in the Final Four is a great accomplishment. I think both of these young women are juniors, Aslan.
Okay.
So there's a chance that Woad and Ting could come back. If they did come back, and you just said, let's throw a little more NIL money at that program. Don't need a ton. Go get you one. Woad and Ting are set for life. Man, they're good. They're going to be pros forever. So they probably already have legitimate sponsorship deals. Go get one more great player, so you have the top 3 players in the world, and then go take your chances. Great showing by Amy Bond and the ladies. That was not. Stanford's very good, as I said. They beat Florida State in the stroke play portion by 30 shots. And Florida State finished 4th. So that's how good Stanford is. I mean, they're incredible. And you knew it was going to be tough. And as we sit here, I don't know who's going to win the national championship, but I would assume they're going to win match play.
Yeah. I just like what I'm seeing out of the staff over at warchant.com of late. Somebody commented in the running thread that Tom Lang was navigating and helming, no pun intended, after the loss was made certain, but par for the course for this athletic program. And then Tom quoted and said, probably should just give up on it then. That's awesome. And then another
it's just funny too. Like nobody's dialed into golf ever, but it happens to be on the Golf Channel, and people are like, "Yep, there they go, choking again."
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's hard. It's hard to win this stuff, man. It's hard to win.
Then somebody pointed out one of the more underreported stories in athletics in the college sphere of late was the upset in College Station last weekend, where the number 1 overall seed, the Lady Aggies of Texas A&M, lost their regional to Liberty. Somebody speculated that possibly it was not made a headline due to the fact that it was Liberty who defeated Texas A&M, and their politics of their founder, Jerry Falwell, perhaps contributed to this lack of spotlight. And then somebody on staff said, LOL in all caps. I've never seen him type LOL in all caps. It made me smile. Said, yeah, I'm sure ESPN was put off by the politics of Liberty. They didn't want to shine a light on the fact that the famous hippie liberal school from, let me check my notes, College Station, Texas, lost in a huge upset. I like the banter we've got going with our subscribers these days. It's great,
Hey, you get a little give and take. Look, man, I think it's college softball, so it's not a huge deal overall. It also happened late at night on Sunday night. But, yeah, man, that's crazy that, again, it opens up I don't think ESPN not reporting on Liberty is a political thing. I think that's if Liberty made the College World Series, they would love that because it's an underdog, a huge underdog, like the team from a few years ago that actually beat Oklahoma.
William and Mary? Was it William and Mary?
I don't remember. They had that awesome pitcher,
James Madison,
that actually beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma ended up winning the national championship anyway. I can't remember who it was. It was a smaller school, but overall, the overarching point is, if Florida State gets by this weekend, softball-wise, and I know this wasn't really a question.
It is. It is, though.
They got as good a chance as anyone. Yeah. They have to face the best pitcher in the country right now, but Oklahoma's beatable. They're very, very, very good. but they're also beatable. It's not like the team, was it 2 years ago when they lost one game all season, which is insanity. They are absolutely beatable. So in every, literally there's probably 10 or 12 teams that can win the national championship, opposed to like years past where it's been like one or two maybe.
Yeah. It was James Madison back in 2021.
There you go. Yeah. So that was the year I think that Florida State won the first game against Oklahoma in the championship series, but then Oklahoma came back and Oklahoma came back and won the next two.
Yeah. We do have a question in relation to that. We go to the mailbag. We go to our guy, M. Adam CZ, down there in Naples. So many thoughts floating around in my head at this time of year. Looking forward to softball and baseball, hopefully making deep runs into the World Series. Postseason baseball, softball can get weird and disappointing, so preparing for that. Shout out Cal baseball, by the way. Knocked off Miami and then knocked off Wake Forest on Wednesday. So they keep advancing.
A 4-hour game. When a college umpire has a tiny strike zone, those things are going to last forever. Anyway, go ahead.
Magical runs are allowed. I have a feeling that one of our squads is going to do that, maybe both. Wouldn't that be something? Either way, I hope these programs are appreciated for what they're doing, and expectations are not unreasonable because of the lingering hangover in FSU Nation from the 2-10 football season. So the question is, which team, baseball or softball, do you think has the best chance today of playing in a national title game in the coming weeks? Both teams have their shortcomings. Both also have enough talent to win it all if everything clicks at the right time. I mean, it's got to be softball. They're 2 steps closer to it, right? Being in a super.
They are, they're a step closer for sure. But also, I think they're better. I mean, I think it's a better team. That's why they were what are they 50-7 or something? Like
in relation to the competition and the landscape.
In relation to the baseball team.
Okay.
Like, I just think they're better. They're stronger. In relation to the competition, but also just compared to the FSU baseball team, I don't think they have as many holes. Even without Kennedy Harp, I think they're legitimately a national champion contender. I think they have 2 very good pitchers, and then other pitchers that can be spotted here or there. But Danley and Francic are good. They're not as good as Kennedy, but they're good. And you have an offense that can hasn't been great lately, but can string together hit a couple. They got 2 or 3 really good power hitters. They got probably the best player in the ACC in Issa Torres, and so they've got a chance. They got a chance. So we'll see. We'll see. But I do think both teams have a chance. I shouldn't put it like that. Look, man, you have one of the best starting pitchers in the country on the baseball team, and as Link was talking about on Wednesday, you might have the single best baseball player in the country with your shortstop. To go along with a potential freshman All-American at first base. Cal Fisher's turned into a really good third baseman. Drew Farreau, first-team All-ACC. Max Williams is going to be an early-round draft pick in center field. So you've got some stuff to that team too. I just think over the course of the season, and the fact that they've already won a regional, and we know they're hosting a super regional, which we definitely don't know that about baseball. I would say the softball team has a better chance of going on a magical run, as Mark termed it.
Did you hear Link's response to the Jackson West saga, if you want to call it that? That sounds very dramatic, but just kind of his stick-to-itiveness with Jackson. I can play it if you haven't heard it yet.
I did hear it. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
That's why I like that dude. And I get it. Like, these are the things that probably haunted, I'm sure, 11 at times. Like after his 9th time of going to Omaha, of like, do I trust the guy that came through for me last year? Like, I got to respect what he's done for me over his career. Let me give him a little bit more rope. Maybe although he's slumping this year. I mean, these are the buttons you have to push, especially this time of year. Link Jarrett's making $2 million a year. He's one of the highest paid baseball coaches in the country. I totally respect and defer to his sort of decision-making process. What do you think about Link Jarrett, head coach, when you hear him say things kind of the way he did about believing in Jackson West and realizing what he did for them last year and how he was such a big part of why they were able to make it to Omaha, and that's a large reason why he's like hanging on to him for right now?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. I'm not a huge fan of when you're asked essentially, and I didn't hear the question. I heard the answer, and his answer essentially, everyone, was Jackson West. He knows the batting average isn't there, the slugging isn't there at all. There's no extra base hits, but he's a guy that did it last year. he came up big last year in the regionals, super regionals, and in Omaha. And he did hit a home run in Omaha. I think he had a pretty good College World Series out there, actually. He has some really good at-bats. And he goes, I believe in the guy because he's done it before. I've seen him do it on this stage in these big moments, and I expect him that he can do it again. And I'm not going to give up on him. I believe in him. I appreciate the sentiment. I like it. I'm not saying it's dumb. I'm not even saying I disagree with it. It just I'm not sure if I'm a fan, I'm all that fired up about you telling me what he did 345 days ago is the reason he's in your lineup now. Like if he's not producing, he's not producing. Like it's what he did in June last year. Does it have an impact on June this year? I don't know. I literally don't. I get the point. Like you throw in a kid, guys that aren't used to the moment, and maybe they falter.
Yeah, man. I don't trust.
Melt down.
Can you really think that Hunter Carnes or Nate Smalia?
That's the other issue is what's the better option? There is no clear cut better option. Carnes has obviously more power. He is a very powerful kid, and I think he's going to be a very good college hitter. I don't think he's a great defensive catcher right now. Neither is Jackson West, by the way, but I think he might be a tick above Hunter Carnes right now. And then Shmelia, the same thing. Like it's not like you have a great option, and if everything's kind of equal, and maybe people are saying it's not equal. Hunter Carnes has 14 extra base hits or whatever he has. Jackson West has 3. 6 home runs to 1. Real power to not much power. I get all that. But there's some stuff that Jackson West does, too. He draws walks. He doesn't strike out a ton. And so there's some things that, like, Link is just ready for it to happen. As his point was, when you've got guys at the top of the lineup that you believe in, you want good at-bats at the bottom of the lineup out of that 8-9 spot. Get on base for those guys. And he thinks Jackson West is kind of hitting with some bad luck and could be ready to take off. I don't disagree. And again, like I said, I don't know that you have a clear-cut, absolute better option. This guy will produce more than Jackson West coming forward. That's why Link gets paid $2 million to make those decisions.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, I think his OBP is not that bad. He does get on base, and he mentions that when you got two guys like Gage and Alex at the 1 and 2 spots in your lineup, it's all about those guys 7, 8, 9 finding a way to get on base, and then you can push them across. And you got guys like Alex Lodise, the now reigning ACC Player of the Year. Go listen to that interview, everybody, with Alex and Link Jarrett. It's up on our YouTube page. If you subscribe to our YouTube page, you would know about it. All right, we almost got 20 minutes.
Also, there's a story. I wrote a story about it.
Did you? Hell yeah, Corey Clark.
Yeah, it's what I do, man. It's what I do.
I go out there and I hunt down the audio for you, and then you craft stories. It's incredible.
It's a great team. You're just like soft tossing to me.
Yeah. What is it?
Just throw it up there, and I'll smack it out of the park.
Are we bird dogging it? Is that what they call it?
Bird dogging.
Isn't that like you kill the bird, the dog goes and grabs the bird and brings it back to you?
Oh, I was doing more of a baseball analogy, and then you went into hunting. Yeah, we're bird dogging it, dog. We are bird dogging it.
I was trying to show my culture. We go to our guy C_Swizzle8. Thanks to him for this question. We went nearly 20 minutes without talking football. I apologize, everybody. It almost looks like he has lacrosse helmets in his avatar, but it's just the look of the design behind the Florida State helmets. 3 helmets, probably representing each national title. Anyhow, what type of win against Alabama would you need to see for your opinion about FSU's win total to increase, with the only way for that to happen being an unexpected blowout? Love the show. Been a listener since the beginning. My relationship with Wake Up Warchant has lasted longer than my marriage did. LOL.
Okay. All right.
All right. Hey, man, just keep swiping, buddy. They're out there.
Yeah. That's right, man. Get back on the horse. Sorry about that. As a divorcee myself, men are divorcees, right? Or is it divorcee?
I thought divorcee.
Divorcee? It's divorcee, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I ended up finding a great person to spend the rest of my life with after the divorce. So got that going for me. So there's always a sunset. Or sorry, a sunrise. After a sunset, the sun rises again, Aslan.
When one sun sets, another one rises.
Yeah, I think that's Faulkner. Faulkner wrote that, I think. Yeah.
No, man, I don't need to blow out. Sorry, Corey. I don't need to blow out.
I was going to say, I think any win.
Yeah.
Any win.
Absolutely. They beat Alabama. I'm thinking 9 wins minimum regular season. Because I think, like, those games that you worry about worry and quote like that Virginia Miami pit that goes from you could maybe be 1-2 in those 3 games. So I'm like, you're 2-1 at worst. And then I feel probably much better about the NC State game as well. Still doesn't change how I really feel about Clemson. But yeah, I mean, I probably moved to 9 minimum.
Yeah, and I think that, look, man, I think the line would move up too. Like, I think if you go back and do another futures bet after that game and Florida State is 1-0, now their line is 8.5, not 7.5. So that's where I'd put it. I don't think it would matter. Like, if they won 40-6, I would think, oh man, they might have a chance to be 10-2 this year.
Playoff. I'm thinking if they go 40-6, I'm like playoffs. Not winning national, but
look,
playoffs.
Man, we're getting way, way, way ahead of ourselves. But we were asked the question, folks.
We were.
Our thoughts about the 2023 season, mine anyway, did change a good bit. Not just that they beat LSU on a blocked PAT, but when they ran them off the field, I'm like, okay, this might be one of the best teams in the country. And so, yeah, my viewpoint on that season changed then. And so, and the Boston College game happened maybe 2 weeks later, and then you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, it could be a slog here every other Saturday.
Yeah, remember, because people were talking about, like, can this team be better than the 2013 team? And we're like, maybe. And then after the Boston College game, we're like, all right, we're not talking about this again. Like, we're tabling this. No discussion about the 2013 team until they actually, like, make a run.
I hope I didn't say maybe. If I did, I don't know if I was just selling hope, because I would have said no.
Yeah, no, people were asking us. I'm like, well, we can talk about that once we get to a certain point. But like once the Boston College thing, I was like, all right, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Also, at that time, I didn't know Jane Daniels was that. I didn't know Brian Thomas was that.
I didn't either.
Malik Neighbors was the guy.
Yep.
And so, but no idea that Jane Daniels was going to have that kind of year. So that win became so much more impressive as the season went on, even though Florida State maybe didn't play as well after that. The win kept getting better and better because Jane Daniels looked like a superstar. He was a superstar, and he won the Heisman. That was his only pedestrian game.
All right. I'm here. I didn't know if it felt like you were going to expound on things. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think they beat Alabama. I put Florida State into playoff discussions because it's like, okay, if you finish probably top 2 in this conference, and I know it's not the new way they want to do this where the SEC and the Big Ten get 4 automatic. There is no automatic bid other than winning your conference. So you need to go to Charlotte and win that game. But I feel like you probably find your way playing in Charlotte, and you could, by virtue of just being one of those last 2 teams in this conference, you're probably going to find a way into the playoff because you just beat
Alabama isn't any good.
Yeah, or Kalen DeBoer is
that.
A fraud or something.
They might be a 7-5 Alabama team. I mean, we don't know. It might lose some luster as you go on. But hey, you know what? Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Let's see when you beat Alabama if they're any good or not.
Amen. What I know is good, and I don't have to wait any longer to make a determination on that, is the quality of craftsmanship when it comes to Ridge and their wallets. I also got their keychain. Keychain, pretty sweet. Are you using the keychain as well, Corey, or are you just all about the wallet?
Just the wallet. I haven't used the keychain.
Are you going to gift it to somebody?
I should.
Yeah.
I should. I got to go find it. I don't know what Stephanie did with it. But, yeah, it looked cool. I need to give it to someone.
Lifetime warranty on this thing. So you're going to go to the website, ridge.com, and you're like, wow, these are a little bit more expensive than I anticipated for a wallet. But it's got a lifetime warranty. And when you go to ridge.com/wakeup, you can save up to 40% on this as well. I went with the Monaco White. That's what they called it. It's clean. I got the cash strap. I've got my lucky $2 bill showing at all times. My only concern is if I'm ever getting caught coming out of a Circle K and I see a homeless person, like, hey, you got any money? Like, my cash is there in plain sight. So I just got to put my wallet, I got to put it in my pocket before I walk outside to avoid.
Or you could give them some money, or even better, don't go into a Circle K.
There you go. That's the right idea. Just like going to ridge.com and using the Wake Up promo. Again, ridge.com/wakeup. Expertly crafted design, durable, stylish, Father's Day's coming up, so I know it's Memorial Day sale right now, but think about what you got to get for Pops, everybody. Do it now. Save $1 or $2. Ridge.com/wakeup. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchants presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it, take it. Island Chief. Wake up. Just want to say thanks to Cummins for the great swag and the monthly drawing. Truly appreciated. I appreciate that, Island Chief. Not a lot of people have shown their appreciation for our great friends over at Cummins, which we'll talk about later on in the show. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Bennett Knoll, the DM has been sent out to you for your information to get your monthly swag bag. So let me know. Corey, the talk of a commissioner for college football is prevalent right now. Let's assume the decision to go ahead with one moves forward. The choice has to be somebody who's under 60 years old and not associated with the Big Ten or SEC. So who is it? I thought I saw something where, I don't know, it was Sankey or somebody was, I don't think it was Sankey, but somebody familiar with what's going on here and the fact that all these commissioners are on board with it. Like, it's going to be a name that we don't recognize, it sounds like. At least that's what I saw out there on the internet, Corey, which you can't believe everything, but I don't know it's going to be somebody where it's like, oh, it was this, it's Jim Grobe. I don't know. I mean, he's not under 60 years old, but you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be Jimbo Fisher, right? Somebody who's under 60 years old, or he's probably not under 60, is he?
I think people need to look at it maybe a different way. I know Saban's name came up, but look at all the big leagues in our country. Like, there's 3 of them. I guess the NHL is 4 of them. But throw in NASCAR. I don't know. Is the NASCAR commissioner a former driver?
No.
Is it Tony Stewart?
No.
Like, I don't know who the NASCAR commissioner is. I don't think the PGA commissioner is a former professional golfer, at least not at a high level. I know that David Stern and then Adam Silver didn't play a damn second in the NBA. I can tell you that. And Bud Selig didn't play a second in Major League Baseball. So my point being, and who's the
Roger Goodell?
Gary
Goodell,
Bettman. Yeah.
Gary Bettman in the NHL.
Is Gary Bettman still doing it for the NHL?
Dude, he's been doing it since like 92 or 93.
He's been doing it since I was playing Sega Genesis with Jeremy Roenick.
Hell yeah.
Making people's heads bleed. That's crazy.
He was
I didn't know he was still the commissioner.
He was a lieutenant under David Stern. He was the lieutenant under David Stern for the NBA, and then the NHL poached him away in the early 90s, and he's been the commissioner ever since. It's incredible. So,
personally, I don't think it'll be anyone, and I don't know that it should be anyone with really any college football ties. Certainly not a former head coach. I just think it should be I don't have a name except my own. I think I'd be great at it. But other than that,
is there a profile though? I mean, I know you're talking about. All right, so you don't want somebody who necessarily played the sport. You don't want somebody that's necessarily.
Who's Roger Goodell's second in charge? Who's his lieutenant? Go get him or her.
All right.
They know how a multi-billion-dollar football business is supposed to run. And I know this is more than just football, but come on, it's football. And maybe they should break off and just be a football commissioner for college football. But I think you go to the source, man. You're trying to be the NFL. You're paying these players. You want all this parity. You want all this money. Well, go to this league that has done it the absolute best. And go get somebody that's been there in the inner circle for a good long while that will have, number one, some gravitas where people will listen to him or her, but also have the knowledge of how something like this works. Because I'm not, I know I just said I do a great job. I'm not smart enough to do something like this. I don't know how to keep, you have to keep 32 owners happy, 32 billionaires happy. Well, that's probably about as easy as keeping 70 school presidents happy. Not very. So go get somebody with some of that experience, I would think. But I don't know who that is. I think it's the dude that announced the second-round picks at the NFL draft. But I'm not sure of his name.
Yeah, so, the guy who gets all the heat right now for what's going on in college sports, Greg Sankey, his predecessor was a guy that was born in Utica, New York, went to Dartmouth, looks like he got some of his advanced degrees at Georgetown, and he actually was the commissioner of the Sun Belt before he ended up getting the top job at the SEC, and that's Mike Slive. So like Mike Slive is really the one who guided the SEC into this huge growth expansion phase of their kind of life cycle. He didn't come up with the SEC Championship game or anything like that, but he's the one that, kind of was lucky enough to be there when Nick Saban showed up and, towards I think maybe year one of Kirby, but like that's the guy that the SEC picked. Some dude from New York, from upstate New York, who went to Dartmouth, who was leading the Sun Belt. That's who the SEC grabbed, and then he was there for like 16 or 13 years and guided them. So, I'm sure whenever they name whoever it's going to be, we're all going to have an opinion that's probably going to be negative about it. But let's see how it all works out. I would like this kind of outsider approach where it's like, yeah, like somebody might not be intimately familiar with the tribalism of this sport, and we'll just look at things from a much more pragmatic standpoint, because it's hard to be pragmatic when you know the tribalism of the sport, right? Love Jeff. Do you think Jeff could really fairly adjudicate things when it comes to the sport? I think anything that involved Miami, they would get the death sentence.
Correct.
And, we would get all sorts of perks and bonuses down here for Florida State, which is a good thing. But, I don't know if that's the way to run the entire sport.
Yeah, and I think when you look at these other multi-billion-dollar leagues, you want somebody that not only appears to be unbiased, but actually is unbiased. There's not, so maybe going to Utica, New York is the right place. They don't care about college football there. They're not going to have any strong passions, I would think, one way or the other. So yeah, and I just think like it's a great point. Like that you don't have to have a history with a organization or an entity to have to know what's good for it. And so hopefully whoever they find, if they even do it, will at least have some. I don't want a name. I don't want to just be like, oh, what would Saban do? I know he has an interesting track record in that he's been an assistant coach at places. He coached at a small school. He coached at Alabama. Man, but it's Nick Saban. Like I wouldn't trust him to run a multi-billion-dollar organization that features 70 other leaders. Like he's used to, and I guess maybe you want a guy that's the top dog that just makes decisions for the betterment of the sport. I don't know that I trust him to know that, to have enough of a 10,000-foot view or a 30,000-foot view. I would prefer personally somebody with experience in this realm, but like I said, maybe not. I don't want somebody that's been down in the weeds of college football. I want somebody that can take a look back like we've all had to do in the last 2 or 3 years and be like, what in the world is this? This is ridiculous. And have somebody that has some common sense and some practicality from maybe another line of the sports world. Yeah.
Yeah, the AI says it likely will be a figure from outside the world of college athletics and not a household name. That was from some reporting, I think, on Yahoo this past week. So, yeah, I was going to go back almost everything I said. Like Jay Wright. What about Jay Wright? Basketball coach.
Jay Wright, the old Villanova coach?
Yeah.
No. I get he at least he's not really connected to college football, and he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
But again, I don't. Why are you shooting down? I know we don't know the guy's name or woman's name. Let's just go get the number 2 at the NFL.
Because
Goodell's probably going to retire soon, so that guy wants to be the commissioner of the NFL. So go get the number 3.
It says that Troy Vincent, but I thought Troy Vincent was
He's like the director of player personnel, I thought.
Well, Roger Goodell's middle name is Stoko. Anyways.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody
Old Stoko.
Let's keep talking football here, Corey Clark. Let's go to our guy J-Dub9. This is a new guy. Avatar. He's got the photo oriented incorrectly. Send me the photo, J-Dub. I'll fix it for you.
There you go.
Nonetheless, I've got a bet with a friend of mine who's an Auburn fan. They think FSU is going to have a 1,000-yard rusher this season. I, J-Dub9, feel like we're going to have running back by committee. So my question is, with the transfer of Oklahoma running back Gavin Sawchuk or freshman running back Osman Kromah, can this team have a 1,000-yard rusher this season? Corey, you talked about this, I think, on Headlines a few weeks ago with Jeff Cameron. FSU 91, the much heralded poster on warchant.com, then started a thread asking, Corey said, will we have a special running back? Well, what is a special running back. It was like a 2-3 page thread.
Yeah.
Lots of people wanted to talk about it. A lot of people wanted to discuss it. This is a question, Corey, that's generating discussion. It has, and it will now. The camera is on. Please, Corey, you know what to do next.
Oh, yeah. I'm pushing that button, baby. Pushing it.
It's just one push, hold it, and then let it go. Yeah,
that's all you got to do. Just hold it, pull it back.
Figure it out, everybody. It is generating discussion. It's sparked by Cummins. Give them a follow on Instagram. Cummins Lifestyle. It's all one word. RVing. It's going down this summer, everybody. The boat. It's going down this summer, everybody. You need power, portable power. If you've got like a fifth wheel, you have space for this RV generator and you haven't been using it. Get it figured out. Go with Cummins. The QG 4000 thing is top notch, everybody. Give them a follow on Instagram. All the great things you can do with your RV, with your boat, with your recreational life can be amplified with Cummins products. Cummins Lifestyle Instagram. Give it a follow. All right, Corey. So the question is on the screen now. Shout out to J-Dub. I've got some data, but first I just want your instant reaction. What do you think? Are you thinking running back by committee, or do you think 1,000-yard rusher more than likely, like 51-49, yes, no?
I would say probably no. I'm leaning more towards the no 1,000-yard rusher. I do think it'll be a running back by committee. I think right now I would guess to start the season, just from what we've seen, it would be Roydell and Sawchuk. But then you also have to throw in Lucas. You have to throw in Cromall. We'll see what he looks like as a true freshman. I mean, if he's as good as we hope and think, then he'll play a lot and get a lot of carries. But you also, I think Lucas, I think Williams, I think Sawchuk, all three of those guys will get the touches will be spread around enough. I don't think it'll be a normal Gus offense where he just rides one guy like he did with at Auburn for years, with the Harvey kid last year at UCF. I don't foresee that. I don't know that he's got a guy like that.
We got to save Sam Singleton. We never say Sam Singleton when we're talking about running backs. Feels disrespectful.
We don't. Yeah, sorry, Sam.
Freshman All-American.
Right. Yeah.
When I first saw this question, I was like, man, this is what Gus does, though. Like, Gus's whole thing is, we keep talking about he's going to determine, like, what his four best receivers are, and he's going to ride with them. And it feels like he always wants, like, that bell cow. He wants somebody to come in for a spell here and there, but he's not very he doesn't really do a lot of running back by committee. I'm like, so, man, this is what he does. I'm like, let me actually research and see what he has done here of late. And here we go. Data on your screen, everybody. Leading rusher for him every year since he's been a head coach. Are you still there, Corey? Did you lose power, or you lose your camera?
I'm here. Can you see me?
Now I can.
Yeah, all right. I don't know what happened there. It's fritzing, but I'm listening to you either way. And I already said my piece. Keep going.
So there we go. These are the leading rushers on it. So Gus Malzahn's first 5 years as head coach. And again, I know he's not the head coach any longer, but that was his thing, man. Like, his thing was, I'm going to hand the ball to Trey Mason. I'm going to hand the ball to Cameron Artis-Payne. I'm going to hand the ball to Peyton Barber, Cam Petway, to Kerryon Johnson. I mean, he always had 1,000 yards. I mean, well into the 1,000 yards most years, those first 5 years in Auburn. But then starting in 2018 with Boobie Whitlow, Jartavius Whitlow, then he went 5 years at Auburn. Now, granted, one was COVID.
Right. Yeah, that's a 1,000-yard season. The Bigsby kid, that's 1,000 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 1 year, his first year at UCF, John Rice Plumlee was the leading, I almost said Mason Plumlee, was the leading rusher for him. So if he does not have an elite guy, which RJ Harvey is, RJ Harvey, was he a third-round pick, I think, from UCF?
Yeah, I think so. He's definitely a draft pick, sure.
Yeah, Trey Mason was an NFL player. Cameron Artis-Payne was an NFL player. Peyton Barber was an NFL player. Kerryon Johnson was an NFL football player. But the guys after that were not NFL football players, and they did not run for 1,000 yards until he got another one. So, yeah, the long story of it, I guess, Corey, is that I don't know if they have a guy right now that I project is going to be like a NFL draft pick at running back. You're right now, maybe Cromall in a few years. So maybe I don't know if it's necessarily going to be because of all the other distribution of carries. I just think maybe they don't have like a special guy. You need a little special to be 1,000-yard rusher, man.
Sort of. I think that it's more about the at-bats, I think, and the amount of time you're on the field. And if you're – I would think there's 3 or 4 guys on this roster, I think, that if they got 24 carries a game, the all season would get over 1,000 yards. That doesn't mean you're special if you're averaging 4.1 yards per carry. That's the thing about this offense. And again, I stress it from when I watched it in the scrimmage. Nobody had a run over 10 yards, I don't think, Aslan. The whole game, the whole scrimmage, out of 50 runs. But they ran for 230 yards. It's just 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, plod, 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 plod. You hope you bust one. Think, honestly, for Florida State fans' memories, Trey Mason in the championship game. He didn't have a great game, but then he busted one at the end. He kind of wears you down. Marshall obviously made some crazy throws, and then he wears you down at the end, and then you look up, you're like, wait, he ran for 160? What? But that's what happens with a good Gus Malzahn offense, and I think that Sawchuk, if I was going to pick one, Sawchuk would be the guy. I think he's a workhorse. He's proven he can do it at this level. I do think he's a workhorse, and I think he can get he's a guy that I don't think they'd be afraid to give him the ball 25 times a game.
Your camera's on the fritz again. I guess that's your way of saying that you're done.
Yeah, I'm done. You can hear me, though, right?
I can hear you.
Yeah, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
I don't know if there's a running back on this roster where you think you can give them the ball 20 times a game and it's going to be a good idea. So,
all right. Okay.
That's what you would need to probably get to 1,000 yards. You need to be a guy that's going to get that. I don't think there's anybody on this roster where you can say the right plan for this Saturday is to give him the ball 20 times. I just don't think that's the case. It was the case when you had Trey Mason and Kerryon Johnson and RJ Harvey. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Let us know what the actual bet is, J-Dub, who wins and what they actually get. I'm going to put myself on camera because I got a really cool Cummins shirt. Give them a follow on Instagram, everybody. It's Cummins Lifestyle. I think Corey's flashing deuces right now. Let's all just pretend. If you're not going to be spending your weekend at the Plex watching the softball team take down Texas Tech and you're in Tallahassee, well, shoot. Why don't you go over to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, hang out, make some new friends, or shoot, bring your friends, post up, watch the game on any one of the 40 different television sets inside the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Afterwards, celebrate with some delicious food, some ice cold drinks, maybe throw some darts, maybe shoot some pool, whatever you want. World is your oyster over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99. Comes with a side dish of your choice. Happy hour specials also going down. Check it all out. cptallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, the address. Let's go to our guy, random_John. Buckle up, kids. Good morning, guys. Hope you're both doing better than my wife's right hip. She had it replaced Tuesday. Let me tell you, they gave her enough sedatives to knock out the 85 Bears. He put 86, but I'm saving you now, buddy.
Hey, the 86 Bears were pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Not as good as the 85 ones, but they were still a professional football team that made the playoffs.
You know, Abby was telling me that literally in some hip replacements, they literally take like a sledgehammer and they break the hip.
That sounds awesome.
It sounds horrible.
I wish I didn't know that.
Sorry, yeah. Anyhow, Corner Pocket was our last meal before surgery. There's no better Tallahassee send-off.
There we go. Nice.
All right.
Yeah, I've seen random_John at Corner Pocket once or twice, I believe.
Yeah. With his missus?
I believe so. Yeah. With not with her new hip.
Yeah.
It was with the old hip.
Yeah. All right. This is a lot here. All right. House settlement NIL. If players aren't employed, and buckle up, everybody. Again, I mean, I'm going to leave this all you, Corey. If players are not employees and there's no collectively bargain agreement, how can anybody tell them what they're worth? You can't say they're just individuals capitalizing on their brand and then also say, we're going to step in and tell them what's too much. Aslan, if you're a 5-star athlete offered the world, how would you feel about having a group of suits at Deloitte tell you, nope, $80,000 max? We did a spreadsheet. Meanwhile, Battle's End is offering you $2 million. That's not amateurism. That's a rigged market. Corey, you're pro-employment. That makes sense. But if players do become employees, do they still go to class? Are they still, quote, students or just employees with homework? The whole settlement feels like it's trying to be two things at once. Amateur when it's convenient, professional when it's profitable. Curious where you all land on it now.
Yeah, all that's true. That's why it's this has been a really tough needle to thread. because they're it is, if they're employees, then why even do the charade of being a student? They're being paid to play football. And if they're not employees, how do you limit how much money they can make? Again, I would say, honestly, if we're going to be adults here, there's going to have to be some not tampering. What's the word?
Colluding? Collusion?
Colluding. Yeah, I mean, the schools will have to say, we are not going over this amount. We are not going over this amount. And look, man, I for years and years, I know it was illegal, and we don't want to go backwards, but all these actors in the 40s and 50s would get in these Hollywood studios, and they would be bound to these stupid contracts where they had to do 8 movies in 2 years. And even if the movie was a huge hit, they still got paid the same rate. I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but I actually don't know what I'm advocating for. It's hard to put into words how much something needs to happen. But we all do know something needs to happen. But as far as the fairness of it, I don't know what else to say other than I hope that it becomes a little bit unfair. Also, I don't think it's fair that somebody that's never done anything makes more money than Charlie Ward ever made as a college football player. That's preposterous to me. I know we can't go back in time and right wrongs, but that bothers me. It bothers me that Jameis Winston never got.
Yep.
Jameis Winston was worth $10 million a year at this school for 2 years. I'm sure he got some dimes. He didn't get that many dimes. Yeah. And so that bothers me too. And then it's like, I guess you can't limit somebody's worth and say if they want to get $7 million, you can pay them $7 million. Well, why are they being paid $7 million? Is it for services rendered? Like, are they actually doing a commercial for you? Or are you just doing it so they play on your football team? Because if they play on your football team, you're paying them to play on your football team. Well, that would be illegal. If you have a salary cap of $20 million and you're paying your football team $44 million in revenue funds, that's illegal. So you would have to go back and say, okay, well, no, we only paid our football team $17 million. The other $27 million came from their endorsements. Okay, what endorsements? Who's paying you? What are you doing? Prove it. I don't think that's probably a step too far, but it's not a sizable long jump too far. You know what I mean? Yes, that's probably a little bit un-American and a little unfair, but it's not completely un-American to say, wait, no, you're not allowed to get paid $2.1 million from this booster and not do anything for it. What is this for? Where's the proof that you're a spokesman? Mm-hmm. How is this fair market value? You didn't do anything for him. You sat at a grocery store and signed autographs for 2 hours and you got $2.1 million? No, that's illegal. We have an enforcement agency that makes it illegal. I think if there's some parameters and some rules set up like that, sorry, Joey, you don't get to make $6 million your freshman year of college football. Sorry. Because nobody knows who you are. You're not a big enough name to sell a Buick. So you don't get to be a Buick salesman. If you're awesome, like Jeremiah Smith, there's no limit. You could be the spokesman for Gatorade. That's awesome. There's no limit to how much Jeremiah Smith makes. Yeah. There shouldn't be. He's one of the most famous receivers in the country.
Arch
Manning.
Manning.
Should be a limit.
Yeah.
Arch Manning, too. Yeah, he's one of the most famous college football players in the country. I'm sure he will have a litany of legitimate sponsorship deals. No offense, but if Roydell Williams is making $1.6 million for Bose, or not for Bose, just gets paid $1.6 million to be here, well, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't even make
that money.
It makes no sense for Bose to pay him $1.6 million.
Right.
It just doesn't.
But and anybody else that would be willing to, and Roydell's a bad example. Let me use I don't know, a receiver at Florida. Just use a receiver at Florida I can't even name a receiver from Florida. Literally, I can't name one. But if they're not getting paid by a real company, it's just a booster wanting them to be good. I mean, that doesn't seem to line up with what they're trying to do. And I don't think you can say it's un-American necessarily that we're not allowing you to just take this money to play college football. Like, you don't, like, you can take it, but it will put your team on probation or will make you ineligible. So you can do that, and you can't go get it anywhere else because you're not a big enough name to warrant that kind of money.
Yeah.
But yes, this is a needle that's impossible to thread. And it probably, I hope it's threaded, but it probably won't be. And I'm not even sure I'm buying everything I'm saying. I'm just trying to get us to a point where this can be a reality that we don't have to pay for play. I don't think that certainly wasn't the intent of NIL. And you can't say he's worth something when he's never done anything. Keon Coleman was worth something. Yeah. Jaylen Brown wasn't worth anything. You know what I mean? Like, he hadn't accomplished anything. No. And you can say, well, you're worth whatever somebody's willing to pay you, which is absolutely fair. So that was 6 minutes of nonsense. You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
We're back to the drawing board. Hey, go pay Kennedy to come to Florida State. Apparently she's making $1 million for someone.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to – I mean, who's going to determine – how do you determine fair market value? But, I mean, you're going to probably look at somebody like Travis Kelce and be like, all right, you are not Travis Kelce, Florida wide receiver. It's not Bank of America that's giving it to you. It's Bank of Gainesville is asking you to help promote their 1.5 savings account yields. Like, yeah.
Well, what it is like, I think the way it works now, and I'm probably speaking a little bit out of school, not out of school, like I'm sharing secrets, just that I don't absolutely know the truth, but like the collective battles in. They have money pour into there, probably a couple really big benefactors, but other donations that pour into there. It's just the collective. So somebody says, I want $150,000. Battles In doesn't come back and say, for what? Like, what are you going to do? What services are you going to provide Warchant.com? Or what services are you going to provide the local Nissan dealership? They're like, okay, yeah, here's $150,000. Well, that's not how this is supposed to work. You can get paid on your name, image, and likeness, as in somebody wants to use you to advertise.
Yes.
Or to sign autographs. This isn't that. This is basically saying you don't get to – this is basically saying we're going to pay you out of this collective to come play football for us without you doing anything for us from an advertising sense. That's not what NIL is supposed to be. So if you just go by those rules, then maybe it could clear things up a little bit more.
I wonder how – like, two quick things. I wonder how they ended up figuring out like the mechanism where these guys got like $300 or $600 to be in the NCAA video game, because I would like for these guys to have some level of like representation or organization. I don't want to call it like a full union, because I can't imagine what happens if they're employees. And if there's one thing, Corey, I think that seems to be unanimous, and like we've heard it on the record from commissioners and ADs, it's like we cannot have them be employees. Like everything's done at that point. So there's no way that could possibly work. But I'd like to know. Like go ahead.
Maybe you could be an employee, but your employment status is tied to your academic eligibility. Like there's contracts you can write up where you're like, yeah, you are an employee of the school, but only if you're academically eligible, meaning you still have to go to class, and then you can be paid. I assume they do that for like. If you work at the dining hall, I assume you have to be a student in good academic standing. I don't know that they would let you have a job or like a trainer on the football team. Like, I feel like you have to be a Florida State student to do that stuff. I know Rudy had to be a Notre Dame student to spray paint the helmets every Friday night. So maybe you can do it that way. Like, yeah, you can be an employee and we can sign a contract for this, 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 and this. But you can't just be a kid that lives in Tallahassee but doesn't go to school. But, again, no idea.
Second part.
Oh, all right.
I was going to say, not from the question, but just my thought on it was.
Oh, sorry, bud.
Remember when this was floating around in like 2018 and Willie was here, and Willie was one of the coaches that said like he was in favor of these guys making money, but it going into a trust to where like they can't really access it until they graduate. There's a part of me, like I feel, I don't want to say I feel ill. I don't want to get dramatic here. But like when you see these dollar figures being thrown around to these players that are second string guys that are only going to give you 20 snaps a game maybe, and you're like, man, that kid's going to make that much money. Like it bothers me. But if I know he can't touch it until he graduates, I'm not as bothered by it. So I'd love to hear like that, because you can opt into, if you want to be in the NCAA video game, we'll give you a copy of it. We'll give you $600. If you don't want your name in it, fine. You won't get any money. We won't put your name in it. You don't get a copy of the game. Like, okay, we're going to have all these stipulations, market value, caps. Or, all right, you can make all this money, but you cannot touch it until you get a degree from a 4-year accredited university. It doesn't have to be this one, but whatever money you've accrued as a college football player, like the pay for play aspect, you can touch your NIL money, your name, image, and likes, but your pay for play money, you cannot touch that tax free until you get a degree from like a 4-year accredited university. I would be so much more comfortable with that. Like just knowing that a 20-year-old kid is walking around with, I don't know, like $80,000 in a checking account and $200,000 in equities. Like, I'm just like,
you can't be like that. I mean, I know what you're saying, but you can't be like that. Like, how old is Sabrina Carpenter? I'm keeping it real for the young folks on this show. But what is she, like 21 or 22? She's a millionaire. Like, she didn't have to wait her turn. She
26.
didn't have to graduate anywhere to get money. Somebody was willing to pay her. Thousands upon thousands of people are willing to pay her to come sing to them. So she deserves that money,
But that's the way that industry has always been. This industry's never been like that.
I know. This industry is folded in upon itself. I don't even know what this industry is anymore, so I get it. But I wouldn't tie it to graduation. But I don't know. Maybe you don't get it till the end of the year. I literally don't know what they're going to do. That's why whoever's number 2 at the NFL is going to come and fix all this.
Let's go to our guy, Bo Noles. Hey, fellas, hope life is treating you well. Is life treating you well, Corey Clark?
Yeah, I can't complain.
How's Brady? Is it summer yet for Brady Clark?
Wednesday was his last day.
Nice.
So he passed his classes, which is great. Not with flying colors, but with decent colors. Right. And he moves on to his senior year of high school.
Have we taken a standardized test yet?
Actually, yeah, he just did, and I didn't realize this. I'm not gonna blow up the kid's spot and give his score.
I don't want no.
I will say this: if it was over like 1,500, I would have no problem blowing up his spot and bragging on him. But it wasn't. But they've changed the SATs now, where they're all digital, and apparently, if you answer a couple of questions right, the questions start getting progressively harder.
What?
Like they lock into what kind of student is taking the test, and they get progressively harder depending on the acumen of the person taking the test, or the aptitude, I guess. Isn't that crazy?
That sounds unfair.
I just heard about it yesterday from friends of ours, and then Stephanie said Eva took one, and then Shanna said that Brady just got his score back from the new SAT, and I'm like, what is the new SAT? And it's this, it's all digital. Which is cool, but then also I guess it gets progressively harder. But couldn't you cheat if it's all digital?
Like hack
maybe
it?
you still have to go to a class. Maybe you have to go into a classroom and do it. But you do it on a computer now. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder like if you wore some sort of like fake glasses. I mean, you couldn't help yourself, but you could then sell the questions to everybody else and make a pretty penny, right? All the moms and dads out there like, hey, I have all the questions that your kid's going to get on his SAT. Yeah.
Parents would never do that to help their kids out. Come on.
All right. Yeah. Life is treating us well.
Yeah.
Baseball topic. Wes Mendez didn't get the dub last weekend against Carolina, but he pitched well against a top 5 team and allowed us to at least get one win in the series. If the big 3 starters are on their A game, do you think we can make it to the College World Series and maybe even make some noise? Absolutely.
Well, yeah, you got to win game 1 if you in Omaha. I mean, that's the and you have a good guy to do it. That you would win if you win game 1. You got a good guy. If you get to game 1 of the College World Series, you got a pretty good guy on the mound. You should have somebody better than they got. So that's a good feather in your cap, but you got to get there. But yeah, I mean, the way Mendez is pitched gives you some hope. Like, it makes you a little deeper. Like, last year they had 2 starting pitchers out in Omaha. Arnold pitched the first game, they lost. Dorsey pitched the second game, they won. Then it was kind of just like, well, here goes nothing. I know Holtz pitched well in one of those games. Armstrong got him some outs, but that's where you were having to use relievers in an elimination game. 2 games in a row. Well, now this year you could, theoretically, if you win your first 2 games, you've got Mendez to start the first game of the championship series, and then Arnold comes back on a full week's rest to pitch the second game if you don't win the first game. And if you do win the first game, then you've got Arnold in game 1 of the championship series. So it does help that you have 3 dependable-ish starting pitchers. Bellini, I get a little pause because when he's not right, he gets hit very, very hard. Mm-hmm. In Mendez, I still not convinced of that yet, but that's been 2 good starts in a row, which is what you want to see. And he was hitting 94, 95 on that game on Saturday. That was a really big win for him. I know he didn't get the win. That was a really big performance for him and a really big win for the program or for the team. So, yeah, you got three pretty good pitchers, 1 great one. 1 pretty good one, 1 that's been good at times. If they all have good outings, absolutely.
All right. There we go. That's the last of the questions. Last show of the week for us as well, but plenty going on in Florida State world. That's why you go to warchant.com. Get the latest and the greatest up-to-minute updates.
You got softball, yes. Right? You got softball Thursday at 7 and then Friday at 3. Mm-hmm. You got baseball in their first game of the ACC tournament at 3. By the way, have you seen these crowds in Durham?
Is that what we're calling them?
That question we had the other day about the ACC or the Big Ten or the SEC, I'm watching right now. It is Alabama, so that makes it a little more. But Tennessee and Alabama is just starting.
Ooh,
at the SEC baseball tournament. Hoover. And there's probably 5,000 or 6,000 people there. The game before was Texas A&M and Mississippi State, which, again, both Texas A&M's had a horrible year. They've got to win the tournament to get in. Mississippi State fired its coach. Yeah. And there were probably 3,000 people at that game.
At 11 a.m. on a Wednesday.
At 11 a.m. in 10 a.m. in Alabama, between 2 non-Alabama teams. Watching the ACC baseball tournament on Tuesday night, it was, I can't remember who it was. There were we were counting the people in the stands. They all had to be family members, and there couldn't have been more than 100 of them. And then the first game on Wednesday was Wake, who's a North Carolina school, by the way, not that far from Durham, and whoever else, Cal. Which obviously they're not going to have a lot of fans. There might have been 100 people there. It's like, and then the SEC has 5,000 or 6,000. So, again, it's a like-minded conference. I was watching the Big Ten just to see UCLA, Illinois. I don't know where the Big Ten championship is being played, but it was on my TV, and I looked. Probably a couple hundred there at the game. UCLA and Illinois. Why would there be a lot of people there? Meanwhile, SEC has 6,000, 7,000 for a random Tuesday or Wednesday first-round tournament game. It's a more passionate crowd conference, and it's closer. Think of you could drive to Hoover. Mm-hmm. How much fun would it be watching your baseball team play in Hoover as opposed to nobody watching it play or caring that it's in Durham, North Carolina for the umpteenth year in a row. It's in North Carolina and nobody shows up. Anyway, I'm done.
Big Ten tournament. You know where it's at, my friend? Charles Schwab Field, Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. Why would anybody be there for that? They don't love baseball in that state.
Why would you have it where the national title is? That's ridiculous. Imagine
getting your teams ready for it. You know the Big Ten's going to make a run this year. They always do every couple of years in Omaha. So, yeah, I don't know. Because it's in the middle of the country, I guess. And it's it's from coast to coast, that conference. So, yeah, who knows? Nothing's ever moving out of North Carolina. I can tell you that much. Oh, except the softball tournament went to flipping Boston.
Well,
but not where it was 50 degrees. But yeah, they'll. Why would you be in Florida for any of this?
Well, in their defense, they put it in Jacksonville a few years, the championship game for football, and we only made it there once.
Look at those. That was the problem. Miami never made it, and Florida State made it once. So it was like, but can you judge Jacksonville as a place for the game when it's Boston College versus like Georgia Tech? Or Wake Forest versus Georgia Tech in the rain? Yeah, there were 8,000 people there. There wouldn't have been anybody in North Carolina either. But they moved it all back to North Carolina because that's where the home of this conference is and will always be.
They had it at Ray J in Tampa? 2008, 2009, it was in Ray J. That
didn't go well. What were those matchups? I know Wake was in 08.
08 was BC, Virginia Tech.
Oh, okay.
Wake was 2006.
That was 2007 was Wake, right?
No, it was Boston College and Virginia Tech. Back-to-back years of BC, Virginia Tech.
That's rough. I thought Wake beat Florida State third. Oh, that was 2006, right? Yeah, because that's when Jeff Bowden was fired.
Yeah.
Wake won it in 2006.
Correct, yes.
Yeah,
correct.
And that was in Jacksonville.
9-6 game against Georgia Tech with 62,000 onlookers.
62,000? Nonsense.
Yeah.
I remember that game. There was not 62,000 people there. But, hey, fluff the numbers. Do whatever you got to do.
They did it. They had in Orlando in 2016. Clemson and Virginia Tech had 50,000 people. Deshaun Watson was there.
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that at all either. Yeah, no.
Huh.
I'm going by Wikipedia. Wikipedia could be wrong, but I don't.
They were
always
having
trust
renovations at Bank of America or something. That's the only way it came to Florida. So good for them. And, obviously the baseball and golf and tennis and everything else is going to be in North Carolina 90% of the time.
Yeah, otherwise.
But, hey, Florida State could be playing a baseball tournament in Omaha right now.
Wait, did Miami actually play in the ACC Championship game? Sure they did.
Yeah, they got beat by
2017.
Clemson. Yeah.
74,000.
They didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah. 74,000 people went to that one. 62,000 went to Florida State Louisville. But that was gross weather.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Louisville, where were you at? Like, there's no Louisville fans there. It's like, you guys can win this game and go to, like, the BCS game or a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah, they were out on that team, I think. But the Noles showed up.
They did. All right, so, yeah, lots to talk about on Monday's show. But before then, the Jeff Cameron Show going down. Warchant.com's got you covered. Again, Super Regional Softball starts tonight, 7 o'clock. Game thread, post-game reaction. It'll all be there on Warchant.com, as Corey said. The ACC tournament going on over in Durham. Recruiting.
One more thing on the way out, because we did talk to Lodise, and I did write the story about him, and I wrote a column about him a couple of days ago where I said you could make the argument, I think I've said it on here, that he's had the best regular season of any Florida State player in history. I'm standing by that more and more. I'm not saying he's the best player in Florida State history, and I'm not saying that what happens next isn't much more important. So if he goes on an 0 for 20 in an 0 for 20 skid in the postseason, that absolutely taints what happened during the regular season in people's minds. James Tibbs was ACC Player of the Year. He also had a 3-homer game to send them to Omaha. That's what people remember. What you do in the postseason is always what matters most. But just breaking down a regular – and Buster Posey was incredible that postseason. Every elimination game, he hit like 2 home runs. Even the second game they lost out in Omaha, he had 4 hits in that game. He was just incredible in the postseason. I think he had 500 in every elimination game they had. He hit like 10 home runs in the postseason counting the ACC tournament. The point being, though, if you look at all these people's regular season numbers, just regular season, so stopping last weekend, what Alex Lodise did this year is incredible and almost unprecedented when you talk about the defense he played. That he's the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He's been an incredible shortstop, and college baseball has never been better. J.D. Drew was incredible, and J.D. Drew could hit in any era, and clearly Buster Posey could because he's probably going to the Hall of Fame. He handled Major League pitching okay. But the college pitching they faced is not the college pitching that these guys are facing anymore. It's just not. There's only 20 rounds of the MLB draft instead of 50, so that means there's 60% more pitchers going to college, professional-type pitchers that are going to college and developing for 2 or 3 years. It's why everybody you see in 2025 throws 95 miles an hour. It's just harder to hit in college than it ever has. So shout out to Alex Lodise because this has been unbelievable. Anyway, I'm done.
Did we answer Bo Knowles' question? Yeah, I think they can make noise, man. I'm not down. Listen, Florida State lost in the ACC Championship game last year against Duke, right? Like nobody was like, pack it in. Who knows? They might win. They might win the entire tournament this week, and then we'll reassess.
I also think like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if this. I know I'm changing my tune. I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world if they were on the road for Supers.
What?
If they make it to Supers?
What?
I think these relievers might be better on the road.
Huh.
I don't think it matters with I think Arnold and Bellini and Mendez are probably better here. I don't think that. I know that. Especially Mendez, it would seem.
Yeah.
But I just think some of these guys, there's so much pressure now on these relievers because it hasn't been good that I feel like if they're in a tough environment, maybe it would almost be less pressure because they don't feel like they're disappointing the home fans if they walk the leadoff hitter. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just got a sneaky suspicion that this might be a team that goes to Arkansas. I'm not saying they'd beat Arkansas, but they would play well. They might play well and lose, but I think they might be a team that plays better on the road than at home.
Yeah.
In the postseason, I mean.
I trust this coach to push the buttons, man, and get these guys ready.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all goes.
Hey, and think about Link going to Tennessee and winning.
Yeah.
He loves that's his briar patch, man. He loves being on the road for Supers.
All right, the long goodbye is done.
Oh, sorry, everyone.
No, it's fine. Goodbye, everybody. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.